Hello and welcome to the news update on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babaya. Right groups ask court to compel governors FCT Minister Wike to account for security votes. Group expels Atiku's son from organization over APC defection. PDP regroups in Kaduna as Makarfi senators discuss 2027 strategy. APC youths push for Tinubu Shetima ticket as 2027 climate heats up. ADC demands clarity from federal government on US-Nigeria health deal. Adamawa State to allocate 40.63 billion naira to education in 2026 budget. Olawepo Hashim warns APC cannot derail Nigeria's multi-party democracy. And now the news info. A prominent civil rights organization has filed a federal high court suit in Abuja seeking an order to compel Nigeria's state governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to publicly disclose how billions of naira in security votes have been spent since May 29, 2023. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, argues in its legal filing that the long-standing secrecy around security vote expenditures, despite more than 400 billion naira budgeted annually, has failed to translate into improved security outcomes for Nigerians, even as violent incidents like the Benue massacre and widespread insecurity persists. Serap's suit, marked FHC ABJ CS 95/2026, asked the court to mandate detailed accounting of allocations, spending breakdowns, implementation and completion reports, as well as concrete plans for improving security infrastructure in the states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). The organization contends that transparency around these funds is essential to uphold public trust and constitutional principles of accountability, noting that the escalating insecurity has compounded extreme poverty, hunger and human rights abuses. Serap also references a Supreme Court affirmation of the Freedom of Information Act's applicability to states and the FCT, underscoring that security votes should not be exempt from public scrutiny. No hearing date has yet been set for the case, which legal observers say could test long-standing practices of opaque governance in subnational security budgeting. A key political support structure allied with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has announced the expulsion of his son Abba Atiku Abubakar following his high-profile defection to the All Progressives Congress (APC) and an attempt to redirect the group's political orientation. The Atiku Aski organization AHO said Abba lacked the authority to speak for the group after he directed members and coordinators to defect to the ruling party and mobilize support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda ahead of the 2027 elections. The organization's initiator and convener, Honorable Mainagi Musa Bakari, emphasized in a statement that Abba was invited into the group, but is neither its founder nor holder of its registration, and thus has no legal standing to make political decisions on its behalf. Abba's directive, which included renaming the structure the Haske Bola Tinubu organization, was described as null, void and dead on arrival, with the group reaffirming its prior collective resolution to exit the People's Democratic Party in favor of the African Democratic Congress, not the APC. AHO's statement reiterated its continued support for Atiku Abubakar's political objectives and its commitment to its own internal values and resolutions, challenging Abba to form his own political organization if he wishes to pursue a different agenda. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has regrouped in Kaduna State as part of intensified preparations for the 2027 general elections, with senior party leaders including former governor and PDP stalwart Senator Ahmed Makarfi meeting to fortify unity and electoral strategy ahead of the national contest. The gathering held in the state capital brought together opposition senators and party officials to assess the political landscape, discuss internal cohesion, and align on tactics for bolstering the PDP's nationwide campaign infrastructure as the countdown to 2027 continues. While details of the discussion have not been fully disclosed, the meeting underscores the party's determination to confront internal challenges and project a united front against the ruling All Progressives Congress in the next electoral cycle. Leaders emphasized the need to engage stakeholders, address grassroots concerns, and rebuild confidence among voters, disillusioned with governance issues, signaling a strategic pivot towards consolidating support across key regions. Youth leaders within the All Progressives Congress have intensified calls for the party to retain the Tinubu-Shettima ticket for the 2027 presidential election, signaling strong grassroots support for the continuity of the current leadership duo. The APC Youth Parliament, particularly from the Northeast chapter, has endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima, emphasizing that maintaining the partnership could enhance stability, continuity and Nigeria's progress under the Renewed Hope agenda. Advocates from the youth wing have praised Shettima's performance and loyalty to the administration, urging party elders and delegates to resist efforts to alter the ticket configuration as the party charts its path towards the 2027 polls. Their endorsement aligns with other youth and stakeholder groups that view the current leadership team as central to consolidating APC's gains and appealing to a broad electorate. The push from young party members reflects a broader debate within APC circles about candidate selection and internal cohesion, with some factions stressing the importance of unity and continuity, even as other voices in the party raise questions about representational balance and strategic ticket formation for next year's elections.
We will now go on a short break, and when we come back, the news will continue. Stay tuned.
The Papyrus Global, we don't just cover events, we create cinematic experiences. From red carpets to birthdays, gala dinners, and your fairy tale weddings, we bring your moments to life with high-tech precision. Our gadgets are smarter, our lenses sharper, and our team simply world-class. Trust the Papyrus Global to tell your story in the boldest, brightest way possible.
Welcome back, and now the news will continue.
The African Democratic Congress (ADC) has called on the federal government to publicly clarify and disclose the full contents of a newly signed Health Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding between Nigeria and the United States, amid concerns about conflicting official descriptions that may signal a constitutional breach. The demand follows sharply divergent accounts by Nigerian and US officials regarding the terms of the nearly five-year bilateral health deal, which seeks to strengthen Nigeria's healthcare system through expanded preventive and curative services. According to the ADC, while the Nigerian government has presented the MOU as a technical and inclusive framework to build health security and expand primary healthcare, public statements from the US authorities appear to introduce identity-based elements that were absent from the Abuja's account. The party alleges that the US description suggests funding could be targeted at health institutions linked to a specific religion, and that provisions granting the United States unilateral discretion to pause or terminate programs raise questions about national sovereignty. In a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC emphasized that any agreement involving public service provisions must be neutral, inclusive, and compliant with constitutional provisions, such as Section 42, subsection 1, which prohibits discrimination on grounds including religion and political opinion. The party also cited Sections 15 and 17, which impose a duty on the state to promote national integration and equality of rights and opportunities for all citizens. The ADC reiterated its support for foreign assistance and bilateral cooperation aimed at strengthening Nigeria's health system, but insisted that such partnerships must respect the nation's diversity and constitutional principles. The Adamawa State government has earmarked 40.63 billion naira for the education sector in its 2026 budget, reaffirming the administration's commitment to improving learning outcomes and strengthening educational infrastructure across the state. Governor Umaru Fintiri, who presented the budget estimate to the House of Assembly, highlighted education as priority area that will receive substantial funding to support reforms, teacher development, school operations, and facility upgrades. The allocation forms part of a broader fiscal strategy designed to enhance human capital development and provide quality educational opportunities for students at all levels. While detailed sector breakdowns were not disclosed in the initial announcement, analysts say the investment underscores the state's focus on expanding access to education and aligning more resources with long-term socio-economic objectives. Adamawa's proposed educational spending is in line with a wider national trend of increased budgetary attention to the sector, with states across Nigeria allocating significant portions of their fiscal plans towards improving learning outcomes and addressing critical gaps in teacher capacity, school infrastructure, and student services. The former presidential aspirant and senior All Progressives Congress APC figure Bayo Olawepo Hashim has asserted emphatically that the ruling party cannot undermine or derail Nigeria's multi-party democracy, even amid rising political tensions and heated debates over electoral arrangements ahead of the 2027 elections. Speaking in Abuja, Olawepo Hashim addressed concerns raised by critics who claim that the dominance of the APC at the federal level, coupled with its organizational reach across states, could stifle political competition and marginalize opposition voices. He rejected such assertions, saying the resilience of Nigeria's democratic institutions and the vibrancy of the country's political culture make any attempt to monopolize power both untenable and contrary to constitutional principles. According to Olawepo Hashim, political pluralism is entrenched in Nigeria's governance framework, and the APC, like all parties, must operate within the rules that guarantee freedom of association, political competition, and electoral integrity. Olawepo Hashim also urged opposition parties to strengthen their internal structures, build credible platforms, and engage voters on substantive policy alternatives rather than focusing primarily on rhetoric about political exclusion. In his view, a healthy multi-party system depends equally on robust opposition participation as well as responsible conduct from the ruling party. The remarks come amid intensifying political activity across the country, with major parties ramping up preparations for primaries, coalition building, and policy positioning for the 2027 elections. And that's all we have on the Papyrus Global TV News Update. My name is Christiana Babayo. Thanks for joining us.